The morning after he killed his wife, he woke his children, made breakfast, sat with them in front of the television, watched cartoons. What the court heard next is what made this case unlike anything forensic psychologists had seen before. His daughter was 7. His son was 5. "I cuddled them," he said at his trial. "I said soft words to them. I love you." Then he sent them back to bed, and he did not let them wake up. These are the facts as presented at his 1996 trial in Lyon. His name was Jean-Claude Romand, and for 18 years before that morning, nobody knew who he really was. Not even his wife. He left for work every morning, kissed his wife goodbye, told his children he loved them, drove away, and then he went nowhere for 18 years. Jean-Claude Romand was born in 1954 in the Jura region of eastern France. The quiet, intelligent child from a modest family. His father managed timber, his mother stayed at home. By every account, he was gentle, well-mannered, and promising. He excelled in school, earned top marks, was considered one of the bright ones. In the early 1970s, he enrolled in medical school in Lyon. He had ambition, he had ability, he had every reason to succeed. Then came one exam, one missed exam. He was depressed. A relationship had ended. He didn't show up to sit his second-year finals. When his parents asked how it went, he lied. He told them he had passed, and nobody checked. That was the first thread. One small lie to avoid one difficult conversation. He told himself he would fix it, retake the exam next year. Nobody would ever need to know. But next year came, and he didn't take it then either. He re-enrolled in the second year of medical school. Then again. Then again. For 11 consecutive years, he attended classes, borrowed notes from classmates, lingered near examination halls. He did everything a real medical student would do, except sit the exams. 11 years. Eventually, his friends and family simply assumed he had graduated. Because why wouldn't they? By 1981, the lie had to grow. He couldn't be a student forever. So he told them he had become a doctor, a researcher, and not just any researcher. He had secured a position at the World Health Organization in Geneva, one of the most prestigious medical institutions on Earth. His family believed him completely. Why wouldn't they? He was Jean-Claude, gentle, intelligent, promising, the boy who had always been one of the bright ones. Every morning he left the house in his car, briefcase on the seat beside him, dressed for an important job at an important organization. He drove to Geneva and wandered. Sometimes he sat in the WHO's public library reading medical journals. Sometimes he drove to a cafe. Sometimes he simply parked his car and sat for a full working day. Then he drove home and told his wife about his day at the office. He told her about colleagues, research projects, conferences in other countries. He described meetings with prominent scientists. He mentioned interactions with political figures. He built a world so detailed and so consistent that it never occurred to anyone to question it. When he needed to take a work trip, he drove to Geneva International Airport and checked into a hotel room. He spent the days studying travel guides about whichever country he claimed to be visiting. Medical journals spread across the bed, building the story he would tell when he came home. For nearly 20 years, nobody knew. But a life built on nothing requires constant feeding. He had no salary, no income, no savings of his own. He lived off Florence's wages. He sold the apartment his parents had given him. When that money ran out, he found another way. Around 1988, he began telling family and friends about exclusive investment opportunities, available only through his WHO connections. Exceptional returns, completely safe. His parents trusted him. Florence's family trusted him. Old friends trusted him. They gave him their savings. And he spent it on what the lie required, on hotels near airports, on gifts, on the maintenance of a life that did not exist. His wife, Florence, had been in his life since he was 14 years old. A distant cousin he had fallen in love with as a boy. She studied pharmacy. They married in 1980. They had 2 children together, Antoine and Caroline. Florence believed every word he had ever told her. She believed in the WHO, the conferences, the research. She believed in her husband, and for a long time, that was enough to keep everything intact. By 1992, the walls were closing in. The people he had borrowed money from were beginning to ask questions, demanding their savings back. His explanations were wearing thin. Then came the moment he had spent 18 years trying to avoid. The president of the local school board tried to contact Romand at the WHO. He searched the directory. He called the main number. Nobody by that name worked there. He mentioned this to Florence in passing. She said she would speak to her husband about the matter. A week later, Florence did not survive that night. On January 9, 1993, Jean-Claude Romand went to his own father's house and borrowed something he had never needed before. That night, Florence did not survive. He left her in their bed. The next morning, he woke his children, made breakfast, sat with them in front of the television, and watched cartoons. I knew after killing Florence that I was going to kill Antoine and Caroline too, he said at trial, and that this moment in front of the television would be the last one we spent together. What the court heard next is what made this case unlike anything forensic psychologists had seen before. His daughter was 7. His son was 5. I cuddled them. I said soft words to them. I love you. Then he sent them back to bed, and he did not let them wake up. These are the facts as presented at his 1996 trial in Lyon. He drove 50 miles to his parents' house, sat down with them for a meal, waited until the meal was finished. Neither of his parents left that dining room, nor did the family dog. That evening he picked up his mistress, told her they had been invited to a dinner with the French health minister, drove her to a quiet road, pretended they were lost, asked her to get out of the car, and as she stepped out, he attacked her. She fought back harder than he expected. He stopped. He apologized. He drove her home. He made her promise never to tell anyone what had happened. Romand drove back to the house that still held his wife, his children, the people he had left behind that morning. He sat down and watched television. Then he burned the house, and he tried to make sure he went with it. When the fire brigade arrived, he was found unconscious, but alive. At his trial in 1996, Jean-Claude Romand was convicted of 5 murders, sentenced to life imprisonment. When asked to explain himself, he said something that has stayed with everyone who heard it. He said that, finally, relieved of the burden of 20 years of lies, he had never felt so free. Forensic psychiatrists who examined Romand concluded he suffered from narcissistic personality disorder. But what they found most disturbing was not the violence. It was the morning, the breakfast, the cartoons. The man who spent 18 years pretending to leave for a job that did not exist was the same man who cuddled his children in front of the television, knowing what came next. The lie and the love existed in him simultaneously. Psychologists studying the case described it as a pathological relationship with fantasy so total that the invented world became more real to him than the actual one. He did not kill his family to protect a secret. He killed them because, without the lie, there was no Jean-Claude Romand, and he could not allow anyone to see that. He was released from prison in 2019 under electronic monitoring. He moved directly into a Benedictine monastery. By 2022, he was definitively released with specific obligations. Forbidden from contacting victims' families, forbidden from speaking publicly about his crimes, under surveillance until at least 2029. He is 72 years old. He tends the monastery's farmland. He is described by those around him as devout, humble, a man transformed by faith. A psychiatrist who reviewed his case wrote something worth reading carefully. Before, Romand was a fake healer, receiving the respect and affection of those around him, all based on a lie. Now, Romand is a real healer, earning the respect and affection of a growing community of volunteers. This time, based on a different lie. The question this case leaves is not how he did it. The question is what it tells us about the lies we allow to become permanent. Because the lie that destroyed 5 lives did not begin with a plan. It began with a missed exam, a moment of shame so unbearable that he chose a fiction over the truth, and then chose it again, and again, until the fiction was all there was. Jean-Claude Romand did not set out to become a killer. He set out to avoid an embarrassing conversation with his parents, and for 18 years, it worked. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone you trust. And if you want more cases like this one, subscribe. A new case drops every Thursday. I'll see you in the next one.